Hello, my name is Emily.
And I'm George.
Today we're going to be making these recycled paper Christmas trees. And George volunteered to make these trees with us today, so what do you think? Let's get started?
Yeah, let's get started.
For tools and materials today, I have a paint palette ready to go with some water. I've also got several colors of paint. We already picked out a nice limited palette here, so if you want to read out those paint colors.
So we have sage, mint, blue mist, avocado, navy blue, and dried clay.
Perfect. And then we've got some paper rolls here to go that have already been used, and I have a paper towel one and 2 toilet paper rolls. And then we've got some paint pens and paint brushes, as well as 2 pairs of scissors. And if you're going to be making your own tubes, I have some glue here. So I've got the hot glue or the white glue, and you can choose which one works best for you. And I've got the template printed out here, and these are for the tubes that are already made. And if you're making your own tubes, I've got 2 sizes on this template here and some cardstock ready to go. All right, you ready to get started?
Yeah.
So we're going to start off by just making a couple of the tubes out of our cardstock, so we have them ready to go. We're going to be making one version of each, and I'll pass that on to you. And then here's your template. And so to get this template started, we're just going to loosely cut around the edges. We don't have to go all the way in. I'm just going to cut it so it's not quite as in the way, at least on one side. And I left you the big ones so you can get your nice straight lines. These short ones are a little harder to get straight lines with. So you'll cut it out just like this, so it's one side. And if you wanted to, you could just cut this out and measure it and draw it on this, or you can use the template. I prefer to do this because it's a little easier. We'll just grab a couple clips. And now we'll grab your scissors, and we're just going to cut right along this top straight line here. And I usually will overshoot it just a little bit so I have room to get my scissors in. So I cut a little further. Since we're cutting it off, it's okay. And then we'll go down. And then once I'm here, I'm gonna move my clips over to the other side where we already have it cut, and we'll do the same thing. Just cut away that remaining edge so it's the exact size we want. And you could honestly do these any size. You don't have to use this template if you don't want, but I kind of want a little bit of consistency, so we're going to use them today. And one piece of paper should get you probably 3 or 4, depending what size you want. Perfect. So once that's done, we'll take the clips and the template off. So we have our little piece of paper here. And then this is where we kind of have to do a little bit of measuring. So I'm just going to see about where I want them to overlap ever so slightly. And then once we have them very slightly overlapped, I'm going to press it down so that it makes a little envelope situation. So just the smallest amount of overlap, and then once you feel good about it, just press it down. Perfect. And then we can use either the white glue or the hot glue. I honestly found the white glue worked a little better. The hot glue got a little too bulky, but whatever you'd like to use. Either way, we're going to have to clip it so that it can dry. I'll just put a really fine line of glue right along that edge. And if you get it on the edges, that's totally fine. Make a mess. We're painting over everything. Okay, so you can see I've got quite a bit of glue in there. And then I'm just going to press it down. And it's not going to stay on its own, so I'm just going to clip it. And we'll set this aside and let it dry. We have our paper tubes here while the other ones dry, and we're going to just cut out our template for the trees themselves. I'm going to make a taller one, and I'm going to have George make a shorter one, so we can do it at the same time. And again, I'm just cutting loosely around the template. Pass that to you. I'll cut mine out, and then I'll tell you what comes next. Because we're gonna clip it on that side. All right, now once you've got that ready to go, we will take our paper tube, and I'm just gonna pick which side, you wanna be your front. If there's any flaws on the tube or something that you want it to be on the side, and then just go ahead and flatten it out. It's okay if it bounces up. We're going to bounce it back up when we're done. And then I'm going to put my template right over the tube. So we've got it in line with the bottom, and I'm just going to take my clip again and clip it, and I want to clip it to both sides. So you can see I have the tube pinched here, clipped on both sides, not just one. And then for the longer tube, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this off. And if you're using a tube that doesn't quite perfectly fit this template, you can go ahead and just draw the tree on directly on the tube, whatever shape you'd like. The important thing is that we always want to make sure that it's going off the edge here. You want it to connect and leave a gap. We don't want to cut that too close and make them separate. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm just going to cut this one first, and then you can go ahead and do that one. So I'm just going to follow these lines. And the important thing is, again, like I said, once that is cut, I'm going to make sure that there's a nice gap before I go into the next side, because we want to leave it connected. And if you have to cut a little off the lines, that's totally fine. It's just kind of a guide. And when you're cutting into something like this, something that I find useful is to put the tip of the scissors right where you want it to end. So you can just close them. And here we go, you can see what I mean. I've left a gap, and there is a little connecting piece there. So when you cut that next piece, that vertical, or this line here, just make sure that you cut it right in there so that there's a gap. And if you mess up, we have plenty of tubes, so feel free to just experiment. There we go. That's one side for me done. Okay, we'll keep cutting. I'm gonna cut the stem now. And I'm gonna do the interior ones first, and then for that inside line, which is a little difficult, we'll fold this back. Yeah, okay, and then for that interior one, I'm gonna fold this down like this, and then you kind of get your scissors in there. We can adjust it once we have the template off. It's a little easier to see. I'll switch over to the other side. So I cut the other top, chunk. And then we'll keep going down. Make sure you leave those gaps. Just double check before you cut everything, because that's what holds these trees together. If the points are disconnected, it will kind of flop open instead of standing up nice and tall. And then for the bottom, I like to do those straight ones first, and then we'll bend it in. I'm going to go ahead and unclip it, and we'll just take that off. And then you can see kind of what it looks like when it's standing up. Now we've got our trees all cut out, we are going to start painting. We're going to go ahead and cut the ones that we made really quickly before we get to painting. So as you can see, I accidentally made this tube in the wrong direction, but that's okay because I'm going to just go ahead and draw right on here, and it will be a custom size. And for you, it looks like you actually have the same size again if you want to do that one more time. And since we're going to paint right over this, it's totally okay to sketch on here and get the shape perfectly fine. You don't need it to be perfect in your sketch. All right, now we've got all of our trees cut out, and we are going to start painting. And like I said, we already picked out this nice little limited palette, and we're just going to put these in the paint cups. We also have our paint pens if we wanted to do any drawing. And this is where you can just kind of have fun. Do whatever you'd like. A little experimenting is always nice. And if you're anything like me, I always am mixing my paints constantly in my paint palette. We just call it well seasoning your paints in the watercolor world. Feel free, we can use the other cuppies to just like mix colors.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna start off with the bigger brush, and I'm just gonna get a base coat on here of whatever color I wanted. I'm starting with the brown one just because I like it. I haven't used this orange yet, so I think I'm gonna go for this, see how it does. And the fun thing about acrylic paint, in my opinion, is you can really mess up and experiment as much as you want because everything is layerable, and you can really get all sorts of fun colors and patterns, and you don't have to worry about messing up. Ooh, yeah, I love that navy color. We do need to do the other side, but for now, let's just go ahead and set that over there and let it dry, and then we'll work on our second tree. Yeah, just bonking into the bottom. I'm gonna do green next, what do you think?
Yeah,
Maybe I'll do a gradient again. I just love the gradients. I love that minty green color. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I like it too.
If you have too much paint, you can always use this It's a great place just to get rid of some extra. It's fun painting with somebody else. It's nice to actually get to break it down a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So green. I accidentally dropped a little blue paint on mine, but maybe we should incorporate it. Oh, nice. That's some good technique. And I also did find that these paint pens make it a little easier to add some detail. You're doing great with those dots, but I have a hard time sometimes keeping them. And when you finished up, I found that this was the best way to kind of get them to fluff back up is put your fingers in sideways and then just hold it for a second and then round. They're nice and round again. I'm gonna use this Posca pen, and this is in the color Red Wine. Maybe I'll do some stripes. And you could use a ruler if you wanted these to be perfect, but I like a little chaos. And if you're like me and accidentally stick your hand in the paint and smudge your lines, this is one thing that I love about acrylic is we can always just go back in with a little bit of the same color and just paint right over. Clean those lines up. Now it's like I didn't stick my hand in it. Maybe on this side, what do you think? Would it be weird to do something different on the other side?
No, it'd be kind of cool.
On this side I'm gonna do angled. I love that one. It looks like the night sky with stars.
Oh, woo! Let's go. I'm ready for Christmas.
Cute, okay. All right. You can get all of these tools and materials on our website, feltpaperscissors.com, except for the toilet paper rolls. You might need to get those in your bathroom. All right, we'll see you next time.